All right, what is going on, guys? Happy Sunday. Sorry the video is coming out a little late. We had some technical issues and just did a ton of research this morning. So, yeah, feel good. We'll see how the day goes. Recap yesterday. Let's start there. Pretty good day. Didn't have a bad day. We had Dayton -2.5 to kick us off. They look like crap at home. Got beat. Texas A&M. Oy, oh my God, that one was frustrating. Yeah, they were up by 12 at one point in the second half, and then it was the worst shooting I've seen in a long time down the stretch. Just couldn't make anything. Michigan came back. So GG. BYU +1. Love that read. Loved it. That was just a kind of, it got a little sweaty at the end, but for the most of that game, that was pretty convincing. Tennessee -4.5 got the job done for us. And then Drake and Texas Tech over 126.5 was pretty sweat free. So we went 3-2, up a little bit on the units there. And then in the NBA, we had Nick Claxton over 7.5 rebounds. He ended up with 10. Okongwu double-double. That was pretty sweat-free. Jimmy Butler, we had him 20-plus points and under 7.5 assists. He hooked us on the assist. He was at 2 assists with like 5 minutes left in the second quarter, and then all of a sudden he just racked up like 3 assists in about a minute. So that sucked. Alex Sarr over 1.5 3-pointers made. He took 4 in the first half, missed them all, and then he just didn't take another 3-pointer. So that sucks. Jonas Valanciunas under 10.5 rebounds, sweat free, ended up at 7. And then we had a little parlay with Brook Lopez, 2+ 3-pointers made and 14 points. He cashed that easily. I almost laddered him to 3 3-pointers. I think I talked about that on the video yesterday. He actually ended up making 3 3-pointers. So if he did end up taking that, that was a nice little profit for you there. All right, so let's get into this slate of games today and then get you guys on your way. All I ask, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. 8-game NBA slate. We'll get into that, and then we'll talk about college. So first game on the card here is going to be the Pelicans and the Pistons. Blowout potential extremely high. Will Zion play? I don't know. You need to wait and see if Zion's playing. The way I kind of see this game going down, Cunningham under in his assist, basically under in everything because the blowout potential is so high. Tobias Harris has a pretty good matchup. Osir Thompson has a pretty good matchup. So I thought about going Tobias Harris over his points. Just don't feel comfortable with it until we know what's going on with the injuries. So if Zion's out, I like Jalen Duren to get a double-double. I wouldn't mind Yves Missy over 7.5 rebounds potentially, although I don't want to take a bunch of Pelicans overs. So yeah, it really just depends on injury news there. Next game, Cavs and the Jazz. We got a 15.5 point spread. The Jazz are clearly tanking. It's overly evident. That said, Walker Kessler should get boards. His line's 10.5. I got this at like -125 on BetMGM. Absolute joke of a line. So I snagged that up. He could hit that by halftime against the Cavs. So I do like this spot, especially when we look at Donovan Mitchell's been struggling. I mean, he struggled in their last game. I do see lots of opportunities for him to get boards. Collier over 3.5 rebounds is on the table too. Almost pulled the trigger on it again, but didn't make the card. Ultimately, not touching a spread this big. Over under of 239.5. That's massive. So I would lean towards the over in that one. 76ers and the Hawks. I like Trae Young here today. I think Trae should have a pretty good day on the rebounds and assists, even on the point side. 76ers, I just don't know who to trust. Quentin Grimes, I would love to bet him, but there's the potential that they could just end up playing him 15 minutes today and then he sits, right? We know that they don't want to win. They're in tank mode as well. I can't trust them. Not going to bet on that side. Mobley over 8.5 rebounds did look pretty appealing, but again, want to wait and see what's going on with injuries before I pull the trigger on anything. 76ers and the Hawks. Sorry, I don't know why I reverted back to the Cavs game, but in the 76ers and the Hawks, I would take the Hawks. 9.5 is pretty stout though. Pretty stout line. Over under of 239.5. Lean towards the under. Spurs and the Raptors. Finally a somewhat close game. Raptors -1.5. which is a little surprising, right? We don't know if we're going to have RJ Barrett. I just feel like he's probably not going to play. Still not going to have Grady Dick. Jakob Poeltl's going to be out. Quickly's a game time decision. It's like Scotty Barnes is the only person I think is going to play today. So getting the Spurs at plus 105 on the money line sounds pretty appealing when we know who they're going to play. I like Jeremy Sohan in that center spot too. So that's an appealing spot for me. I think Castle has a pretty good spot to score some points today. It's kind of weird. Line's like 21.5. Thought about going over, just not going to pull the trigger on it, but technically does have a good spot today for that. Celtics and the Trailblazers. Celtics, it's the same story, just rinse and repeat every day. The whole starting lineup's a game time decision. Need to wait and see who's playing. What I did put out in the Discord is if you look at Tatum rebound line with Porzingis out and Horford in, he just absolutely blows that 7.5 line out of the water. He's over it. It's like 12 of 15 or 13 of 15 games he's gone over that. And he does have a decent spot to get some boards tonight. So I do like that. One of the plays that is on the card is Donovan Clingan under 10.5 rebounds. I think it's just too much against the Celtics team. I did want to look at Denny. His line 7.5. I do think he goes over that rebound line. Just makes sense, right? Who he's going to be guarding, where he's going to be at on the court. He should have an opportunity to get a decent amount of rebounds tonight. So that could be kind of like a correlation play where you take Denny over and Clingan under. If you want a two-legger there. Next game, Hornets and the Heat. We see the Hornets only 4.5. That's a weird line. I expected this to be like 8 or 9. But I think it's because we should see Bridges, Ball, Williams. They should have their normal rotation in. One of the plays I locked in on DK right away was Miles Bridges over 6.5 rebounds. You just give that line to me. I'm going to hit it every time, especially at minus 120 on DraftKings. Too good a value. So I already bet that line. Also, don't mind Mark Williams to get a double-double today. That was something else I was looking at. LaMelo Ball to go over 3.5 threes is a good potential. I think, let's see, I think Tyler Hero has a decent spot to get some rebounds. So that was another one that I did look at. Ultimately, in this game, though, I would say I kind of want to go Hornets plus 4.5. It's just such a weird line that I want to go with it. I feel like they're in the game. I would lean towards that under 212.5 as well. Nuggets and the Rockets. No Joker tonight. No Joker really shifts things up. Puts Westbrook in the lineup with Murray. It's kind of a weird situation. We see a 7.5 points for the Nuggets. The Rockets just really haven't looked great. If you look over their last 3 games, they've been letting teams that are just nowhere near their level really compete with them right up until the very end. So I can see the Nuggets hanging in this. So give me Nuggets plus 7.5. I don't mind this whatsoever. Thunder and the Clippers to end up with the night game of the day for sure. I think this one should be a really good one, but give me the Thunder minus 2.5. Even though they're on the road, they're just a better team. Just a better team. I think we'll see Jalen Williams out by the way it's looking. So we might see, somebody else in there. We'll see how they do. But I think Shea has a really nice night tonight. All right, so let's get into college basketball, baby, the madness. All right, we'll start off. I'll cover the first one here, Manhattan and Incarnate Ward. I like Manhattan in this one. I'm not betting it, but Manhattan would be my pick. UConn and Florida kicking us off here. I think this one should be a pretty good game. I think what we'll see is UConn's lack of interior defense really shine today. So I have this 72-81 Florida. So I do have UConn technically covering here. I think it should be a pretty nice game here, but my lean would be towards Florida, just the better team. I think they pull away in the second half. Let's see. Let's skip Elon and Army, although I would lean Elon in this one. Actually, no. I have Army covering. Sorry, I got it 72-67. So Army would technically cover here, but no way in hell I'm touching that game. Baylor and Duke. This one should be a pretty good game, but ultimately Duke's the better team. I actually have this capped right at 12. So I've got this 78-66 in favor of Duke. I got a fairly low scoring, so ends up right on that 144 line, which I think is pretty accurate. But ultimately, I would lean towards Duke in this one. Maybe just bump it down, take like -10 and pair it with something else. But I can get down with that. Let's see, Illinois, Kentucky. This is a game I like. Man, I've ran this so many different ways, and it's just kind of like BYU, Wisconsin yesterday. I just don't see an avenue where you don't take Kentucky here. I took the points, took the +2.5. But I really like Kentucky to win this game. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing where Illinois is just going to dominate this game and end up winning. So I think it's a good spot for Kentucky here. Next game, St. Mary's and Alabama. Really, for St. Mary's, it's all about that start. If we looked at their last game, they got off to a really slow start. I loved St. Mary's in that one. They ended up shooting 2 for 15. Or 1 for 15 on threes, in the first half, maybe 2 for 15. Either way, pretty bad. So it's really going to be, can they make their threes? My concern here is foul trouble. I think Alabama's going to do a good job of penetrating, driving, could get St. Mary's in some foul trouble here, and they just don't have the depth to really survive that. So I do think Alabama gets the job done. I do think it's pretty tight. I've got this handicapped 76-70. So I do lean towards the under 149.5 as well, which is still out there, I believe, on a lot of books. So I do have a lean towards that number, or towards even Alabama team total under. If you want to go the St. Mary's route, I think that's really one of the better ways to do that. Let's see. Next game. I don't want to focus on all these NIT games. Don't care about them. Didn't want to spend the time researching them, to be honest. Mississippi State and Iowa State. I think this one's going to be a pretty good game. I've got Iowa State barely covering. I've got the 69-76. So very, very light lean towards the under. It's kind of right up against that number. Also, I thought about going back to the well and taking Iowa State team total over, but I think Iowa State covers this. We have a little parlay play on them on the card, but I think it's going to be a somewhat tight game. But we'll see what happens in that one. New Mexico and Michigan State. Usually, it's all about the guards. I mean, you got 2 really good guards in this game. Just a lot of good guard play to watch today if you're a big fan of that. Ultimately, I've got Michigan State pulling this out by about 10. So I've got it 78-68. So I do have a strong lean towards Michigan State -7.5 today. I think this is where the storybook ending for New Mexico comes to an end. They do have a great guard, but Michigan State's got some pretty solid talent on their own end here. And then last play is going to be Oregon and Arizona. I've got it tight, but ultimately I've got Arizona coming out on top. I've got it 78-74. I've also handicapped it a little stronger towards Arizona in some regards on another model I have. So I do like Arizona to get the job done today in this contest. All right, let's get our betting card out here, show you guys, and then get you on your way. Okay. So, March 23rd bets. Here's where we're going to go. In the NBA, we're going to go Walker Kessler over 10.5 rebounds. I know Utah's a fading, tanking machine, but Kessler should be able to get lots of rebounds, especially I don't think Filipowski is going to be in the lineup today, so that's going to help him with Mahalik there beside him. Donovan Clingan under 10.5 rebounds. Just think it's too much against Boston. I know he's over this in 4 straight, but I just don't like it today. I like Denny to go over. I just didn't want to touch the 7.5. And then next play, Miles Bridges over 6.5 rebounds, -120 on DraftKings. Love that play. And then Trae Young over 14.5 rebounds plus assist. It's just too good of a spot here, in my opinion, to fade Mr. Trae Young today. He should be able to rack up the assist, and he should be able to sneak a couple rebounds in. I think as long as he gets 3 rebounds, we're going to hit this line. I think he gets at least 12 assists today. So could do that, or you could just ladder his assist if you don't want to trust him get rebounds, which is completely understandable because he gets lazy oftentimes when it comes to getting boards. So if you just want to take his assist over, you're going to pay a lot more juice, but there are some books where you can find over 10.5. Don't mind that whatsoever. All right, so in college basketball, we already talked about these, but Kentucky plus 2.5. I'm also going to do a little sprinkle on the money line as well, maybe just like a half unit play on the money line. Illinois team total under 85.5. I just think this is too much. Even if Illinois does win, I think they only get to, probably that 83, 84 range. So we're getting value there. Arizona -3.5. Like I said, I've got this handicap kind of tight, but I do think Arizona pulls this out. And then a couple of parlays here, a couple plus money, little mini parlays. We're going to do Duke -7.5. Paired that with the Iowa State money line at +103. And these are on DraftKings, the last two. And then Arizona money line and Michigan State money line. Pair those together, you get +103. So those are the plays for today. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. Enjoy watching some great basketball and some fairly mediocre NBA games today. That borderline on bad, but appreciate everybody. We got MLB coming up next week. Big week, baby. Thursday is MLB opening day. We'll be locked, loaded, and ready. Looking forward to that. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.